but don't bring that into someone else's wedding. I didn't tell my husband a thing because he's the type to get overwhelmed and get rid of the problem, which in this case would have meant uninviting a large chunk of his guests. Instead, I sent out the invitation with the dress code colors, forest green and dark gray. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. I asked his close cousin if she was interested in being a bridesmaid. She said she couldn't and asked if it was too late to do the theme his mother wanted. Oh my God, actually me now. What is wrong with people? Are people okay? Are you okay? This is so delusional. I said I would rather marry him at the courthouse than have any other wedding than the one I dreamed of for years. He had told me I could do my Lord of the Rings theme as his yes was stronger than 1,000 no's. The harassment got worse, and then as the date grew closer, radio silence. Keep in mind, my side of the family was a great help. My bridesmaids were all in their capilettes and dresses, and I had my custom elf ears touched up by a friend. This is so great. I bet the photos are gonna be epic. Since my friends all like the same nerdy stuff I do, the theme was exciting for them. The day comes and I'm ready to walk down the aisle after my makeup, and I was dressed in my perfect sparkly white dress and silver cape with my hair in jewels. Oh, I bet you look stunning. Like, I'm sorry, elvish women are just like, I walked in and straight away my eyes were on my husband. It wasn't until the reception that it occurred to me that a large percentage of women at my wedding were wearing white dresses. Deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths. I forgot to breathe there for a second. They were wedding dress adjacent, and the shock caused me to drop my bouquet. My mom confronted his mom about it, and the response his mom gave was that the dress was gray, like the invite stated. It was white. They all gave the same story, and though most people besides them were wearing forest green, easier to find, a few were wearing the correct gray, which is easily distinguishable from white. My sister said she would go to the dollar store and get grape juice and a super soaker to get all the white dresses, and my mom suggested we kick them out, but I decided not to do either. I mean, honestly, in doing this, all they did was make themselves look really, really... Like, before it was like, okay, this can just be like some, tiff that we had, whatever. But like, your husband is now gonna be like, what was that? I'm sorry, but in this scenario, there is no excuse to show up in droves, all wearing white, to someone else's wedding. You look like a butthead. It did cause a major scene, as not only were there 8 women in bridal white, but they all seemed so uncomfortable with it that they stuck out like sore thumbs. What the hell did your mother-in-law do? Is she like holding them hostage or something? Like, why are they all guilt-tripped? See, this is the thing. This type of woman probably gets her way all the time. Maybe she's super nice, or, maybe she kind of holds money over people's heads. Everybody's always trying to appease her. Either that, or she's holding their husbands hostage.
Both.
Because why would you agree to this? Watching them squirm as multiple people approached to ask if they were playing a special role in the wedding, as my dress is white but with lots of silver and looked less like a wedding gown than theirs did. It was so satisfying. They'd all obviously gotten a dress that looked as close to the ones from Bridgerton as possible and were matching well, so it looked like there was some element of the wedding that people hadn't been clued in on. Yeah, I didn't get the cunt memo either. Most of their partners had given me tight, uncomfortable smiles, and my wedding party was pissed, while the guests were genuinely trying to figure out what the white dresses were for, especially as the night went on and people helped themselves to the open bar. The white dresses are a canvas. Get out your Sharpies! In the following 2 months, I received an apology card along with a very expensive item off my registry from everyone who wore a white dress, so that's a bonus. I just fail to understand why they would do something that they know is wrong just to make your mother-in-law happy. For what? Because you wanted to dress up like you're the cast of Bridgerton? Throw your own party for that. Don't commandeer someone's wedding because you want to dress up in a Bridgerton dress. I still use the juicer his aunt who wore feathers gave me. I wish I could have gotten a Ninja Creamy though. Ugh, those look really good. I was seeing one of those on TikTok and that protein ice cream looks really good. Maybe you could kind of be like, well, I'm not talking to you until you get me a Ninja Creamy. Guilt is a powerful thing, my friends. Even his mom apologized, which I found out was my husband's doing. He threatened to cut off anybody who didn't make it right with me.
I am the one who knocks.
I told him he didn't have to, and he said, I'm the one getting married. So I deserve the wedding, and they can throw whatever wedding they want when they're getting married. And if the time comes, they would be mad if I wore a wedding dress to their day. That's crazy to me. I hope you're healed from that, because like, wow. Definitely made for a good story. I kind of wish you would have told your husband sooner. He should have shut that down. I'm glad he did when he finally found out. Like, yeah, he could have done that, but you know, it would have been like, it's not that bad. Maybe he's also kind of like under your mother-in-law's thumb, and you know, maybe it would not have turned out in the same way. They fully embarrassed themselves. Like, they look like the villain right now. This is not just some simple argument that got out of hand. If there's one thing that I do not tolerate, it is malicious intent. It is really hard to discern whether something was done maliciously, right? Like, everybody kind of thinks, well, you know, like, I'm not the villain in this story. Everybody like tries to justify why they behave the way they do. But this is pretty clear that there was malicious intent behind this. How else are you gonna explain that? I actually like that they embarrassed themselves by trying to upstage the bride. This is what I'm saying. You look mean and stupid. If there was anyone that was gonna be on your side after this argument, they are not on your side anymore. Yes, I'm glad they weren't uninvited. Once everyone saw them for who they really are, a controlling narcissist and her weak followers, OP wouldn't have to ever explain any in-law craziness. Yeah, I mean, I think there is a villain in this story, and it's pretty obvious who it is.
It's not you, it's me.
I love that the bride nixed any dress staining shenanigans. Their self-imposed discomfort was the best revenge. You definitely could have done some staining. It's one thing to like spill a glass of wine on one of them accidentally. It's another to have 8 people show up all wearing white, and then what are you gonna do? Have a food fight? Like, no, you're not. Hold your head high, my dear. Delicious. Let's move on. They switched the brides. This is a story my aunt has told me many times growing up. However, I didn't really fully believe her until I met the people who the story was about, and they told me the rest of it. All names have, of course, been changed. Thank you very much. I'm not trying to get food on this lovely day. So, buckle in, ladies and gents, because this is a doozy. About a good 40 years ago, at least, in the early 80s, when my Aunt Nora was living in the Middle East, she was invited to a wedding by her coworker and longtime friend, who was getting married to a man her father had picked for her. At the time, especially in that area, arranged marriages were a common practice, where 2 families would combine their wealth by having their children marry, therefore increasing their social stature in the community. My aunt's friend Jasmine, 21 at the time, who was getting married, had invited my aunt to take place in the events of the week leading up to the wedding. While spending the week with Jasmine, my Aunt Nora noticed that the bride was not very excited to be getting married.
Yay, can't wait to marry someone I don't even know.
Said no one ever. Well, maybe some people. You know, if it's a cultural thing, they might be okay with it. And sometimes it works out. At the beginning, it's like, who is this person that I'm spending the rest of my life with? Furthermore, every time the groom, Ali, 22 years old, would come to see his bride, he would seem very distant and preoccupied with something else. Or someone else. He would always be wandering off or disappearing for hours when they were supposed to be spending time together or choosing things for their wedding. Turns out Ali, the groom, was actually in love with Jasmine's younger sister, Nessie, 19 years old. I'm always right.
It's exhausting being right all the time, but like, what can you do?
They had been in a secret relationship for a bit over 6 months. When Ali went to his father asking to marry a daughter of that family, his father automatically thought he meant the oldest sister, as was tradition, and arranged the marriage to the wrong sister. Ooh. I feel like we could have been a little more specific.
Who will be getting married?
When Ali found out his father had arranged the marriage, he was beyond happy, but soon found out it was to the wrong sister. When he met her 2 weeks before the wedding had been arranged. When he went to speak to his father about the mistake that had occurred, his father told him what is done, and he will marry the woman they had picked out for him or forfeit his wealth, title, and would be shunned from the family. Yeah, I guess maybe like the assets probably go to the oldest sister, but like, do they get assets? I don't know, because she's a woman, right? So would she get assets? Since he wasn't left with much of a choice, he was forced to go on with the wedding to the wrong sister. 2 nights before the wedding, all the bridesmaids and the bride were all taken to a hotel near where the wedding venue was. They were 5 altogether: the bride, her sister, their 2 cousins, and my aunt. That night, they put together a plan that would save Jasmine and let Nessie marry the man she loved. Ooh! It's having a little powwow now. We're gonna move in the shadows. Let's do it. In their tradition, it's known that 48 hours before the wedding, the bride and groom are taken to different houses or hotels to be apart. The only time that they would see each other again is at the wedding when the bride's veil was lifted.